Well, hello, and welcome once again to stately Vaughan Manor. Now, today I'm going to talk about something that I don't usually talk about, and that would be technology. You know, here at Vaughan Manor, we kind of pretend that most technology doesn't exist. But today I'm going to change that up and I'm going to talk about a piece of technology because it is reading related. You guys might have heard of this ghastly thing that I'm going to be talking about today. Yes, today I'm going to be talking about this. A Kindle. An Amazonian Kindle. So, yes, most of you are familiar with these things. And you might be wondering, well, I wonder what Michael thinks about this. Of course you are. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you wonder about that? So I'm going to be giving my thoughts on this device today. So I will just say, if you are going to be reading a straight narrative, say a novel, for example, from beginning to end, this is better than print in almost every way. It just is. It just is. I have to say it. This has too many advantages to ignore. The screen has an eerie glow here, but in real life, it looks pretty good. It actually looks a lot like paper with the e-ink screen. And you could change the font size. You could fit 9 gazillion books on these. You know all the advantages because by now these things have been out for how many years? They've perfected them each time. I've got the Kindle Oasis. This is the extra super fancy, extra expensive version. And this one is extra expensive because it comes with buttons. I'm pretty sure this is about $75 to $80 a button over the Paperwhite. So yeah, you have that for that extra expense. But yeah, this has a ton of advantages for reading. You can read in the dark. It's easy to carry. There's just a ton of advantages with this. And I say this as a person who loves books, which is one of its disadvantages. Books are just beautiful, beautiful objects. I love books. I love the feel of turning the pages. And so personally, I prefer print books. It is true. But this has another advantage that is seldom mentioned. And I will go ahead and tell you what it is. If you are a reader of older books, as I often am, and let's just say, for example, you're interested in writing from the Victorian era, for example. Say you're interested in writers like Arthur Conan Doyle, H. Rider Haggard, H.G. Wells, Jules Verne, just all those writers from that era. Even writers like Robert Louis Stevenson, who you could find a lot of his stuff in print. This has the advantage of you can get everything they wrote pretty much easily. In print, for example, if you're trying to find the work of Arthur Conan Doyle, you can easily find Sherlock Holmes, of course, and you can find a few others pretty easily. But this is a guy who wrote, 60-something books? Good luck finding those all in print. H. Rider Haggard, another example. Another guy who wrote 50-something books, maybe more than that. How many do you find in print? 2 or 3, maybe. Even H.G. Wells. You can get a lot more of his books. I think you can get 15 or 16 of them maybe in print pretty easily. But he wrote an awful lot more than that. And there are a lot of authors that maybe you'll come across their names from that time. You know, but that's all you're ever going to come across, you know, if you look for them in print. However, if you have one of these, whatever obscure author you might run across, you could probably find everything they wrote if they're from that era. Cheap. If you get individual books, you can get them for free. If you get those big bundles, you can get them for what, $2 or $3 maybe? I mean, that is the advantage right there. You know, if you're interested in stuff like that, a whole world of literature can be opened up by this. True, if you're just totally just need paper books, which I totally understand, you can probably get some of these things from print-on-demand outfits and things like that. But it's not like those books are going to be particularly great anyway, usually, you know? If you're interested in the Alan Quatermain series, for example, I don't know that you're going to be able to find like a nice hardcover edition of all of them. Probably not. So you just end up with some cheapo paperback or something. Probably. Or else you'd have to spend a whole whopping amount of money on a hardcover. This, free or next to free. And you can read this stuff, you know. That is the advantage of this device. That pretty much overcomes everything else. It's just the easy accessibility of books that you can't read any other way. And it's a nice reading experience. I have to say, these Amazonian people, they can't pack a package to save their lives, but they did come up with a pretty good reading device. I have to give them that. And I'm sure all e-readers, you could probably find all that stuff that I was talking about pretty easily. So that's straight narratives, things like that. Obscure works, you know. And of course, it always has the advantage if you just want to read a book like now, boom, you've got it. You could read it. And if you really like it, you could get a nice copy like I do, because I do love the physical books. I prefer the physical books. You might have noticed that about me. I have a pretty extensive library, and there are physical books that you cannot get ebook copies of. A lot of the old science fiction stuff that I read, you can only read them the way I get them, which is by, you know, buying old pulpy copies of them from the past. So that's straight narrative. When it comes to other things like history, anything that might require a graph or a chart, this is inferior. Textbooks, big history books with lots of pictures and charts and graphs and asides and something that you want to be able to just flip back and forth in pretty instantly. Books are still better. Physical books are still better for stuff like that. You can read a history front to back in here, but when you get to a map, you're going to be like, that sucks. Because it sucks. They haven't perfected that. Someday, I'm sure they might come up with one of these that is like as big as an actual hardcover book. They toyed around with that in the past, and they can do that. And they can make those images sharper. They can make this better than what it is, so that, you know, and if you have a tablet, that would solve some of those issues probably. But those aren't great for reading for long periods of time. Books are still better for that kind of thing. So those are my thoughts on this device. If you are just a big reader of fiction and you've been on the fence, I don't know why you're still on the fence. These things have been out 100 years. But if you're on the fence and you thought, get it. Just get it. It's worth the money. It really is. So yeah, kind of a different video from me today. I promise that'll probably be the last technology talk I'll do for a while. But there you go. Okay, I will see you here next time at Stately Vaughan Manor. Thanks, guys.